Welcome back to Restoring Core. When we're ready, we'll come on down to our mat to begin our practice today. We're going to start in our 4-point position. We're going to begin here with some diaphragmatic breathing. So in the starting position, we can bring our hands, stacking them underneath our shoulders. Knees will stack underneath our hips. We'll bring our line of vision to look right at our fingertips here. On our next inhale, we're going to let our lungs blow up kind of like a balloon. Our goal is to just pull that air deep into our bodies here. And on our exhale, we'll pull that belly button back up towards our spine. So let's take a couple breaths here. As we inhale, letting that breath pull down to the deepest reaches of our lungs, sweeping through the ribs into the low back. We're keeping our core engaged to focus that breath. As we exhale, we're zipping up through our ribs, using that core engagement to channel that air out of us and engaging through those upper abs. Let's take a couple more breaths here. Take this at the pacing of your own breath. Inhaling, letting our lungs fill up like that balloon. Exhaling, zipping up through the core. Is a great one to bring those audible breaths in. Stay here for one more breath. When we're ready, here in this 4-point position, we can sweep that right hand forward, finding a big circle here, just opening up through the chest. Let it return to center and alternate through our opposite side. Check in with our core stability here. Make sure that we're bracing through our center by pulling that belly button up towards our spine. Just alternating through these little shoulder circles. Let's get a couple more here. Beautiful work. When we're ready, let's get one more each side. We'll step back into our starting position here, bringing those hands underneath our shoulders. From here, we can take a moment, inhale to arch the back, tuck the pelvis, take a look at our knees, find our cat position. We'll exhale to bow, dropping our belly button on down towards the mat, take a look up at the sky, finding our cow position. Taking this one up the freedom of flow of our own breath. Inhaling to arch to find cat, and exhaling to bow to find cow. Each time that we're inhaling into our cat position, we're tucking through that pelvis, taking a look at our knees. Every time that we're exhaling to bow into cow, we drop our belly button on down to the mat, keeping it still engaged through that center. Shoulders drop back and away from our ears. Let's take 2 more breaths here. When we're ready, we'll meet back in neutral spine together, halfway between that cat and cow. Once we're here, we'll take that left hand. We're going to draw it up towards the ceiling, opening up through our chest. Next big exhale, we can tuck it underneath opposite armpit, finding a little thread. Inhaling to open up towards the side of the room. Exhaling to sweep underneath the opposite armpit. Last one on this side. Beautiful work. Let's plant that hand back down. We'll go to the opposite side. So again, inhaling to begin opening up through the side of our body here, opening up through our chest. And sweeping it underneath the opposite arm. We kind of direct our vision here with the movement of that arm. Let's get 2 more on this side. And last one. When we're ready, we'll come on back to that 4-point position. From here, we're going to extend that left leg long behind us, curling those toes in towards our center. From here, we'll take a little lift through that leg, bringing it up parallel with our hips and tapping it back down to the ground. We're going to start here for a couple lifts through this leg. We're here for 3. We're going to bring in stability work with that right hand. And 2. Curling those toes in towards our center, keeping this movement really slow and controlled. And last one. Next time we come on up, can we hold that leg lifted here? From here, we're going to take that right hand. We're going to sweep it past our glutes and drop it back down to the starting position. Just finding a little bit of movement through that arm. Focusing on our balance here. Replacing that hand. And here for 3. And last 2. That hand down, we're going to switch sides. So once again, extending through that leg, curling those toes in towards our center, and lifting that leg up to our top point. Keeping this movement really slow and controlled, just focus on feeling our core engagement here, bracing through our center, pulling that belly button up towards our spine. And we're here for 3. lifted here, curling those toes in towards our center. We'll take that hand into our working motion of pulling and sweeping that palm past our booty and coming back to center starting position. And we're here for 5. And last 2. We'll return back to that starting position here, planting our hands on down to the mat. Knees can come down to follow. From here, we are going to extend that left leg back behind us, pointing through the knee, sending that knee up parallel to our hips, and lower back to starting point. We can add a little flexion of the foot here if we'd like, sending our flat foot up towards the ceiling. And we're here for 5. We want to keep our line of vision looking down at our fingertips here. Our hips are shining parallel down to the mat. Our chest is shining down to the mat. And we're here for 3. As we're doing this, we really want to pay attention to our range of motion. So when we get up to this top point, we don't want our back bending down or like dropping down to the mat. So just find a position where we can lift through that glute, find that nice stretch without losing our posture. And last one. This time I want us to send that knee up to our top point. We're going to hold here. We're going to draw that heel towards our glute, squeezing our thighs and shins together, and then releasing back to that 90-90. Almost like we're trying to kick ourselves in the booty with that heel. And we're here for 5. Keep that back knee lifted. Find our stability here. And last 3. Keep those legs lifted here. We're going to find that 90-90 in that back knee. From here, we're going to press that heel up towards the ceiling like we're trying to leave a footprint on this ceiling. Keep that knee lifted. Find this really slow and controlled movement. Just a little pulse here. Here for 5. When we're ready, we're going to keep those knees floating. This time we're going to draw our knee towards our elbow. We're finding a little circle with that hip. So we're drawing our knee in a circular motion here. First pulling it in towards the elbow, and then letting it find the rest of that circle before returning to our starting position. We're just oiling up our hips here, finding some mobility. Drop that knee back to our starting position here. From here, we're going to open up our knee to the side of the room. We can point through those toes. We're drawing that knee up parallel to our hips, finding our fire hydrants on this side. Keeping this movement really slow and controlled. Check in with our core, and as we're lifting that knee to the side of the room, we want to make sure that we're still keeping our hips shining down towards the mat. Here for 4. We'll find that top point in 3. And last 2. Let's send that leg out to our top point here. We're going to pulse it out here, just drawing our knee up towards the sky. And here for 5. And 2. And 1. On down. Beautiful work. We can bring our ankles together, widen the straddle of our knees, sit back onto our heels. Walk those hands out towards the tippy top of the mat, bring our chest on down. Resting here in child's pose before we go into our other side. Beautiful work. When we're ready, let's exhale. Walk those hands back in towards our chest. We'll come on up into our 4-point position once again. From here, we can once again take that little bend to the foot, drawing our heel up towards the sky. Keeping our hips parallel down to the mat. We can find that flexion in our foot. And here for 4. And last 2. We're going to hold that knee lifted in 1. We're coming up to this top point here. We're drawing our heels in towards our glutes, keeping those knees floating. We're still keeping those hips shining down towards the mat. Chest is shining down towards the mat too. We're flattening that foot out towards the ceiling, pressing up towards the sky. Like we're trying to leave a footprint on the sky. Almost like we're squeezing or unsqueezing through those glutes here. Checking with our core, make sure we're still bracing through our center, pulling that belly button up towards our spine. And here for 5. We're going to come to those hip circles in 3. One. From here, we're drawing that knee in towards our elbow, finding that circular motion with our knee. You can think about just sending that kneecap in a little circle. You can point through the toes here. We're here for 5. Draw that knee back to center. We're going to come into our fire hydrants here. So opening up that knee to the side of the room and closing back down to center. And we're here for 5. We're going to pulse out in 3. Send those knees up to our top point here. We're going to pulse it out, just drawing that knee up towards the ceiling. Here for 5. And 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful work. Bring those ankles together, widen the straddle of our knees. Sit back onto our heels. Come down into child's pose here for just a moment. When we're ready, let's exhale, walk those hands in towards our chest. We're going to turn on down to the mat. We're going to come into our core position, our core track here. So we'll need our yoga block for this one. So we'll come on down to a seated position. We'll bring our hands to our knees, gently lowering on down to the mat. We're going to take a moment here, just imprinting our spine into the ground, pressing that low back into the mat. If you can come to about palms distance away from our booties, we'll be moving them in a second. We're going to press that low back into the ground, making sure that we are taking that little tuck through our pelvis. When we're ready, we'll grab that Pilates block. We're going to take that Pilates block and we're going to set it short ways on top of our, just like on top of our knees here. From here, we're going to bring our hands to press into that yoga block. We're going to come into a little chest lift here to hold us. So we'll take a lift through those shoulders up off of the mat. And from here, we're going to extend same leg, same arm. So we'll take an inhale, extend same arm and same leg towards opposite sides of the room, inhaling to release out of this. chest lift. We're going to alternate between these extensions, putting pressure on that Pilates block throughout this whole movement. Beautiful work. If you have to play around with the Pilates block position, move it around. We're still keeping that low back pressing into the mat here. We've got 3 more here. And last 2. And we've got 1 more. On our last one, I want you to meet me up in our chest lift in that 4-point position here. So we're going to bring our forearms to press that Pilates block away from our center here. Like we're trying to press our legs down to the ground. From here, we're going to extend just through that right leg, lower it on down to the mat, and replace it to the Pilates block, extending through the opposite leg. Holding our chest lift here, getting that work through our deep core muscles, sweeping that leg on down to the mat. And we're here for 3. And last 2. We've got 1 more here. When we're done with that one, we'll come on back to this position of pressing that Pilates block on top of our knees. From here, let's take those palms. We're going to press down on that Pilates block, trying to send our knees down towards the ground. Add a little bit of pressure here, just pressing our hands down on our knees. Use our core to resist dropping our legs. Here for 5. When we're ready, let's shift that Pilates block over to our right hand side. From here, we are going to press that Pilates block just on that right hand side leg. We're going to press down on this leg as we hold the other in tabletop. For 5. And we can switch sides here. Can release in between. Come back to our core. So we're just pressing that Pilates block away from our center here. Resisting with our core, resisting with that leg. Here for 5. Beautiful work. All right. We'll lose those Pilates blocks. We're going to stay down in our lying position here. We're going to bring those feet about palms distance away from our booties. We can work our feet just a little bit more narrow in, a little closer than hip distance apart here. When we're ready, we're going to begin with the spinal articulation. We're going to set our hands in a little cactus position by the sides of our head. So the palms of our hands are facing up towards the sky, a little 90-90 through those arms. From here, on our next exhale, we're going to peel our glutes up off of the mat, peeling our vertebrae up off of the mat, sending our hips up towards the sky. And big inhale, we can lower back down, sending each vertebrae down to the ground, one at a time. Exhale into that lift, drawing our hips up to the sky, squeezing through those glutes. And inhale to melt back down. Get 3 more here. And last 2. And last one. When we come up to this top point, I want you to slide your hands back behind your head, lengthening through the hands before we pull back to that 90-90 cactus arms to the side of our head and lower through our glutes. So we're exhaling up, send those glutes up to our top point, slide those hands back behind our head, pull back to that 90-90, and lower on down through our glutes. Beautiful work. We're here for 5. When we're doing this, we're still thinking about that spinal articulation as we move through these bridges. So we're melting down, lowering one vertebrae at a time, and peeling one vertebrae at a time to come back on up. We're finding that core engagement at this top point, pulling that belly button towards our spine, bracing through our center. We have 2 more here. And last one. I want you to meet me up at our top point. So send those hips up towards our ceiling. Squeeze through those glutes here. From here, we're just finding that slide of the hands back behind our head. Pull it back to that 90-90. Keep those glutes floating. We're pressing our weight into our heels. Checking in with that core. Here for 3. And last 2. And last one. We can lower on down through those glutes once again. From here, I want you to walk those heels out towards the edges of our mat, finding a really wide bridge. From here, we can once again keep those hands, turn those little cactus arms to the sides of our heads. From here, we're once again going to peel our back up off the mat, finding our bird's position with this wider stance. Squeeze through those glutes at this top point. And melt back down, lowering back down to the mat. We might notice our stability is a little different here. For 3. And the last one. Meet me at this top point here. We're going to pulse this out, squeezing and unsqueezing through our glutes, sending those hips up towards the sky. Check in with our core here. We're here for 5. When we're ready, let's lower through those glutes once again, dropping our heels towards the center of the mat so we can walk our feet in just a little bit here. We're once again going to peel our back up off the mat, come up to this top point. Once we're here, we're going to open up those knees to the sides of the mat, holding them back to center, and lowering on down through those glutes. We can exhale, come up to this top point, open out through those knees, keeping those glutes squeezed for our stability, and lowering right back down here. We're here for 4. And last 3. We're going to pulse it out in 2. And last one, meet me up here. Let's send those knees out to the edges of the mat. Pulse it out from here. Drawing those knees out towards the edges of the mat. Keeping those glutes squeezing. Bracing through our core. And here for 5. lower those glutes on down. We'll head into our cool down here. We can send both of those legs away to the edges of the mat. We send those hands back behind our head, letting each of our limbs find a corner of the mat. Nice big exhale. Let's pull that left knee in towards our chest, hug it in towards our heart. We can use our hands, guide that knee in some little circles here. Bring some mobility to that hip joint. When we're ready, on our next big inhale, we can drop that leg on down, slide it away. Big inhale, send those hands back behind our head. Lengthening here to opposite sides of the room. And big exhale, we'll drive the opposite knee in towards our chest. Replacing those hands on our knee, guiding that knee in a little circular motion. Big inhale. We can drop that leg on down, send our fingertips back behind our head. Once again, lengthening through the spine. Stretching here. Nice big exhale. Pull both knees back in towards our chest. Hands will drop onto the tops of our knees. From here, we'll find some circles, opening up those knees to the sides of the room and closing back together. We're here for 3. When we're ready, let's draw those legs back together. Hug those knees in towards our heart. We could take a moment here, just rocking and rolling side to side, up and down. Give ourselves a little massage of the back against the mat. We'll work those hands to the bases of our feet, drawing our heels up towards the ceiling, finding our happy baby here. We can pedal out those legs. Find some joy of movement. We can find a big rock here. Whatever feels right. Whatever feels like our happy baby today. When we're ready, let's work our hands to the bases of our knees. We're going to rock and roll on up. We'll draw those knees to the sides of our body before turning to find our tabletop position. Here in this tabletop position, we'll stack those knees underneath our hips. We'll stack our hands just in front of our shoulders. We can bring our ankles together, widening the straddle of our knees just a little bit. From here, we'll drop our glutes over our heels ever so slightly. And then press forward, shifting our weight over our wrists. We can pace this to our breath here, exhaling as we drop our glutes over our heels, inhaling as we press forward. Let's get 2 more here. When we're ready, let's bring those ankles together, wind the straddle of our knees, sit fully back onto our heels. Walk those hands out towards the tippy top of the mat. Come on down to our child's pose. This is where we'll wrap up Restore and Core today. As we wrap up Restore and Core today, I think this is the perfect time to reflect on the week that we just spent. What happened this week? Just take a moment reflecting and digesting. How did we show up this week? What did our interactions look like? What did our relationship with our body look like? There's no particular direction for this reflection, other than where your mind takes you, where you're feeling it tugged. also take this time to set an intention for the weekend ahead of us, time ahead of us. How are we going to use this time? How are we going to be fully present? And when we're ready, let's exhale, walk those hands in towards our chest, and wrap up our practice for today. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a fabulous and very safe 3-day weekend, and happy Valentine's Day.